Hello, my dear listeners. My name is Kishore Ganesh, and in this episode of the Vocal About Visuals podcast, I'll be reviewing Vignesh Raja's Por Tolil, starring R. Sarath Kumar, Ashok Selvan, Nikhila Vimal, and others. Vignesh Raja has also co written this film with Alfred Prakash. Por Tolil is one of the most satisfying murder mysteries to come out of the Tamil film industry in the recent years. As I had mentioned in another one of my reviews of yet another murder mystery called Kolai, Tamil mystery fans have had a pretty good time lately with the quality of films hitting the screens with a relatively regular cadence, and Por Tolil definitely makes the list of said quality films. This film is an atmospheric murder mystery with a good amount of focus on the police procedural aspect. It is also setting up a buddy cop dynamic and maybe an eventual franchise featuring the two protagonists. It incorporates the red herring narrative element to very good effect, but it doesn't just sample this element. What I mean to say is that this is not just a side dish that amplifies the main course, or in this case, the main mystery. In this film, the writers have managed to blend the red herring element thoroughly and deeply into the main mystery and have built out the red herring portion quite extensively. So, for us, the audience, we get to watch not just one mystery unfold, but two. We get not just one main course, but two. Yes, the first one is the red herring, but had the film stopped right there with the writers thinking that we don't need to expand the story anymore, we already have made an extremely competent movie, and had instead decided to conclude with a superb climax, they would have been bang on. They would have made a very competent film. But by giving us the two main courses or two quote unquote full meals, a term that would be very familiar to the Tamil audience, the writers have given us a film that both excites us as mystery fans and satisfies us with the details, the dynamic between the characters, and the drama. Another thing that worked big time for me is how psychologically aware the writing in this film is. There is a real effort to understand how the motive of the murderer is related to their psychology, and there is further tying in of psychological science to other characters in the story, thereby grounding this universe in science, which of course I'm a huge fan of. I cannot vouch for the accuracy of the science presented in the film because I am no expert, but the reasons and motives mentioned seem quote unquote scientific, if you get what I'm saying. Moving on to the performances, the director scores a big win with his casting choices. Sarath Kumar, Ashok Selvan, and Nikhila Vimal are all perfectly cast for the role. From the time Ashok Selvan did Tegidi, a superb indie thriller from 2014, he has gone on to become the poster boy for a certain kind of film in Tamil cinema. This may be a topic for a future pod, and I think this brand of his has helped this film big time in addition to his contribution as a performer, of course. Sarath Kumar is an industry veteran who's capable of playing any and all roles, so this wouldn't be too much of a stretch for him. To his credit, though, he has managed to keep himself relevant and in prime acting condition by accepting quote unquote modern roles. Directors like Vignesh Raja are approaching him for roles like ones that most actors in Hollywood, irrespective of how big a star they are, will play or have played at least once in their career. It is a lead role, but it is also one that has emotional depth and drama to it, not just action. Nikhila Vimal plays a very functional role here without distracting the audience away from the core mystery. That said, this character is something that could have been written better. Nikhila Vimal's character is something of a veteran in the police force compared to Ashok Selvan, and maybe considering her roles and responsibilities as explained in the film, she is not trained to fight, sure, but either within the police context or even outside it, she could have been written to be able to better take care of herself as opposed to being a damsel in distress. In fact, her being the damsel in distress is one of the most predictive, in negative way, parts of the movie. I say this because the beats of this film are predictable, especially for mystery fans, but the fact that they are executed so well leads to them not being an issue at all. On the whole, Por Tolil is a damn good whodunit that grounds the police procedures and the motives in science, which is a big win in my eyes. Even while telling a quote unquote heavy tale, it manages to keep the proceedings, dare I say it, light thanks to the fast pace of the screenplay and the excellent humor, even if the humor is only in parts. Basically, whenever the humor comes up, the jokes land, so the strike rate is quite high. The casting and performances are great, and if the cliche of the damsel in distress is rectified in Vignesh and Alfred's next movie, maybe we'll get to see a further elevation of the overall product, whether that product is a completely new film or it is indeed Portholil Part 2. Either way, I'm excited for more mysteries from this duo. Once again, my name is Kishore Ganesh. This is the Vocal About Visuals podcast, and thank you, my dear listeners, for your time and for listening. Please do give this podcast a follow on your preferred podcast platforms and on YouTube. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads at Podcast Plural. You can also support my podcast in a variety of different ways through the links in my link tree, which I will be putting in the show notes and in the description of the pod.